Well, hello paper enthusiasts, I'm RidersDX and welcome to my channel where today we're talking about Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door Remake, but more specifically, my most delusional hopes for the game once it comes out. So the game comes out on May 23rd this year, and so that's less than 2 months away. And you know, I've been thinking a lot about, since this is a remake and Nintendo has teased that there's going to be certain new gameplay features that are going to be incorporated here, what are some of the most delusional yet most exciting things I could think of that I would love to see get implemented into this remake? And so I got a list of 10 things I'm going to go over. Once we go through the list, let me know if you had any other things that I didn't mention that you would love to see in this list. And after we go through my list, I also asked you all for some of your thoughts on the Thousand Year Door remake, and so I'm gonna go ahead and respond to some of your questions and concerns and comments at the end of this video as well. If you want a chance to be featured in a video like this, then go ahead and sub to my channel, and you know, you might see a community post asking for opinions on a different video idea. So let's get right into Riders Talk with my 10 delusional requests for the Thousand Year Door remake. And number one, I could actually see this somewhat happening because it actually did happen in Origami King. One thing I would love to see in the Thousand Year Door remake is some way to replay the bosses, because there's a lot of epic boss battles here in the Thousand Year Door, but once you do a battle, there's kind of no way to replay it. And so having some way to replay through all of them, maybe add some interesting challenges here and there, like make them a little bit more difficult, for instance, or maybe like do like a boss roulette where you could play them all in one go, you know, just some things like that. And could also unlock some more extras and things like that from completing this. The Origami King does have this thing through like a little place called the training room, where you can go ahead and practice like all the different wheelie battles and such while you're in that you do in the Origami King. And so I can totally see something similar being done to Thousand Year Door, and yeah, that'd just be great. Having a way to replay the bosses would just be more content for your liking. And number two, this actually is something that's very reasonable, and they really should do something like this, but having a jukebox option to play songs you like throughout the entire game would be really cool. Now, I love the soundtrack for the Thousand Year Door, but you know, sometimes maybe I want to listen to Rookport while I'm in the Twilight Zone, for instance. I mean, you know, having the option to do something like that, as unhinged as it seems, would be a really cool idea to have, and I think the Thousand Year Door could really benefit from that. And also, if you want to include like music tracks from like other Paper Mario games, for instance, like I would love that they remastered some of the tracks from the first game, and also just maybe include some tracks from the other Paper Mario games. That'd be a really fun way to just kind of give the players more ways to customize their experience. So having a jukebox section that you can kind of access in the pause menu or something would be a really swell idea. Number three, this is something that I'm really not sure if it's going to happen, but if they want to make it happen, I think it'd be pretty easy, because this was technically planned for the original game, but they cut it at the last minute for whatever reason. But having cameos from all the partners in the original Paper Mario in this remake would be such an amazing idea, because this is something I've talked about in previous videos before, but I'm really shocked they didn't remake the original game first, because as big as the Thousand Year Door is, the original Paper Mario is almost as beloved. And so if they announced like a remake of the original Paper Mario, I'm sure lots of people would have still gone and bought it. And so it's really interesting that they just skipped over that and went for the Thousand Year Door. I'm happy about it, but I'm also kind of sad that the original Paper Mario is just kind of being left in the dust. So if they had cameos of all the party members throughout the entire game, just like they were playing to in the original game, that would be amazing. Like, they already have the sprites designed for all the partners, so just remaster those, insert them into this game, and just, it'd be such a great surprise to finally have that as a part of the game. Because if there's some cut content I think is reasonable to incorporate into this remake, that is definitely one of those pieces. And number four, so Miss Mowz is a very interesting partner, because she's someone that's not required for the journey and such, but if you do get her, she can be really useful in terms of 100% in the game. So she has an ability where she's able to seek out like star pieces or other collectibles whenever you use her ability in every area in the game, and that's swell and all, but I kind of wish it acted like a radar system instead. If you were using Miss Mowz and you just walked around the area, then suddenly she would start like blinking her ears or something, and then that's when you know that there was some kind of like insane treasure nearby. So instead of having to stop in your tracks, use her ability, click A, do some text, and then rinse and repeat throughout the entire section, I think having some kind of radar system that just automatically flicker whenever you're using her would be such a godsend. So You still make her useful, but it's just faster in terms of like actually going around collecting those star pieces and 100% in the game. And number 5, this is definitely something that I could envision them doing, although because of the way that this game is set up, I don't know how realistic this actually is, but having some way to at least like speed through the dialogue when you can, or even having ability to like skip through certain sets of dialogue would be such a godsend. Now look here, I love the story of the 1,000-Year Door and I don't really want to skip through most of it, but you know, sometimes when you play like a tough battle and you just constantly die, and then once you go back into the battle you have to click through all that text again, that's when it starts to get really annoying. Or when you kind of go through like repetitive text in some of the chapters, like the one where you're on the floating island, you had to battle all those different foes, you had to like go through all the different intros and go through all the rules in every single battle. I don't know, some of that text could either be dwindled down or maybe like sped through or even skippable in my opinion. And so I don't know, just kind of like ways to make the gameplay flow more easily and more efficiently is kind of stuff they really should focus on when it comes to this remake, and this is definitely one of the things I'd like them to focus on. Like, I remember when I got to the last boss in particular and Battle the Shadow Queen, there was so much text before the boss, which is understandable because it's the final boss, so you should have a lot of text beforehand. But then I would die and I have to go back to battle the boss and I have to sit through all that text again. Like, there's gotta be a better option here. And number 6, this is actually semi-confirmed by one of the videos, and that is more unique NPCs. And so something that we've all been missing when it comes to Paper Mario is the random NPCs in their unique clothings and such. That's something that they kind of took away with Sticker Star and Color Splash and the Origami King, but now that the 1,000-Year Door is getting remade, it looks like they're not really like changing too much. They're more so just like saying really faithful to the original and just bring everything up to scale. And we even have this picture of a brand new Toad in a different outfit that's not in the original game. So what this is telling me that there's a potential of even more NPC outfits and stuff over here. Maybe there's gonna be some more characters to talk to and more additional content to sift through, and that just sounds really exciting. And what better way to kind of like announce the return to form to Paper Mario than to give us brand new original NPCs, and Nintendo like 5 years ago wouldn't have even thought about allowing. That's just a comeback that just sounds too insanely epic for me to ignore. But I mean, yeah, we do have evidence that there's going to be some new NPCs and new outfits here, so who knows, maybe we'll see some more over here, and that's like gonna serve as additional content for this game, which would be amazing. And if they want to go a step further, they could even include like some other Mario characters and make them like additional NPCs here, you know? What if you just walked around like Rookport and then Waluigi was suddenly there? You know, just like things like that would be really cool. So they're probably not gonna go to that extent, but the fact that they're even adding new NPCs alone is something to get really excited about in my opinion. And number 7, this is something that I could see being a very realistic thing, but then again, it's never really been a big part of Paper Mario, but it is a big part of lots of remakes and remasters, and that is more additional costumes for these characters. Like for instance, the baby Yoshi, we should have an option to change the color. You know, that's something that would be really easy to implement. But otherwise, like giving Mario and all the partners like additional outfits that maybe you can unlock throughout the game would be really cool. Like you can give Paper Mario like some other costumes that reference like other games. It could even reference games that came out after 1,000-Year Door, for instance. That would just be a really cool way to just customize the game even more, make it even more like, hey, we're all for like unique outfits and designs for these characters now, and we're gonna show you by giving all these characters all these different outfits to go through. That's just something that I would love to see more of in this game. And so because of that screenshot of that new NPC, I'm feeling highly hopeful that we're gonna see so much customization and uniqueness here, and you know, I'm excited. It's going to be great. At number 8, this is a really specific thing, but I also think this is something that's shared amongst a lot of people. Like the 1,000-Year Door overall has pretty good pacing, really solid gameplay that doesn't waste your time, with the exception of the Twilight Town. So in this chapter, Mario has to go back and forth between the castle and the town like numerous times because of what the story like calls for. And you know, this would be fine and dandy if you didn't have like a ton of enemies you had to battle each way through, for instance, and also there wasn't so much territory to cover. It's just a complete waste of time, and it's really annoying, and it really just like there should be some sort of like fast travel path that's unlocked after a while, just to make it a more seamless experience, because no one likes backtracking, and this chapter just calls for so much additional backtracking that's just abnormal for a Paper Mario game. So I don't know, we gotta make this flow better, we gotta not have as much backtracking. Like we need this fixed. At number 9, so this is something that like I personally would just like feel really good about seeing, but if they don't do it, then it's not gonna be a huge deal to me. But I actually didn't realize this until after looking up the game afterwards, but Vivian in the Japanese version was almost characterized as either this like male that liked to dress like in a feminine way or as a transgender female, and that was basically wiped out in the American version of this game. But there's other versions of this game that do like address it more like directly. I don't know what their original vision with Vivian was, like whatever the developers or the writers like really wanted Vivian to be. I want them to take whatever that vision is and put it in this remake. Like I want Vivian to be whichever the writers believe that she's supposed to be, and I want that reflected here, because to me the character that we got in like the Thousand Year Door, like at least on this side of the ocean, is still a really good character. Like Vivian is still a great character and her story wasn't really affected by this, but at the same time it'd be really cool to see that diversity really hit a Nintendo game directly. And I do know that there's some versions of this game that actually directly address that Vivian was a male but now she's a female. I would just love to see that like tackled directly in this remake. I don't know if Nintendo's gonna do it, to be honest, because you know, family friendly and blah blah blah, but I mean, I think diversity is more important than ever in this day and age, and it would just be really cool to see Vivian really get her true story implemented in this remake. So who knows, I would love to see it. At number 10, this is definitely the most delusional hope over here, but it makes so much sense and it would just be like such an amazing thing to get over here. But throughout the Thousand Year Door, while Mario goes on his adventure, he encounters Luigi a bunch of times, and Luigi tells Mario about his own adventures that kind of seem like a mirrored version of Mario's adventures, and that's Luigi's adventures in the Waffle Kingdom. And you get to meet all of his own partners and such and like their own stories. Now, what's really interesting about Luigi's campaign over here is that Luigi tells a very different story from what the actual story is told by the partners. And then you have the book of Luigi's adventures that sound even more different from what both of those people are saying. So I think it'd be so interesting if Nintendo decided to have some kind of like side campaign in the Thousand Year Door that actually shows what Luigi is doing in these places and you know what the real events are. And I just think that it could just be a fun little like bonus episode, and you can go to these like miniaturized but still very fun locations and you know just have more Thousand Year Door content basically. And it'd also be a really great opportunity because I feel like Luigi is a character that is a big part of Paper Mario, but at the same time in each Paper Mario game he never has like a huge role. Like he's always present, but he's never like a big part of the game, if you know what I'm saying. He's just always there, which is how he's a big presence, because he's just always in Paper Mario, like no matter what. And so it would be really cool to have Luigi kind of have his own little side campaign where he's the star, and just really see what goes on with Luigi in one of these games, because Mario's doing all this shit and then Luigi's always off doing his own little thing. So like in Origami King, Luigi was running around everywhere like finding keys, for instance. So it would be really cool to see Luigi have his own little like spotlight over here, sort of similar to like what they're doing with Shadow and Sonic and Shadow Generations, but it doesn't have to be to that extent. It could be like a small adventure, because the Thousand Year Door is already a big game as it is. But I mean, like, come on, Luigi has so many cool like partners as he's traversing through the Waffle Kingdom. I need to see it. I need to see it. If it's not in this game, then we need like a side game that documents Luigi's adventures in at least one of these Paper Mario games. Like, come on, we need this like so badly. All right, folks, that is my top 10 list. Let me know what you think about all the bullet points in the comment section below, and let me know if there's anything that I didn't say that you would love to see in this game. I would love to hear your thoughts. But right now, I actually got some comments that I want to respond to from you all about the Thousand Year Door remake. So we actually got some comments from Twitter too. So I'm gonna go do my Twitter comments first, because I don't often get responses to this on Twitter. So it's really cool to see I actually got some responses on Twitter this time. Sir Luigi says, I think this remake is such a fantastic combo of old and new Paper Mario elements, old game and RPG mechanics, but with new Paper Mario looks and charm. Yeah, exactly. Like I was looking at the trailer for like the Thousand Year Door remake, and it looks like a sequel to the Origami King in a way. So I mean, that does kind of sound like an insult depending on the person that you talk to, but to me that's a compliment, because Origami King is such a visually stunning game, and to see the Thousand Year Door kind of adopt some of its like visual elements is really cool here, because it does help it differ from the original and it makes it feel brand new. I'm really excited to see like how they transformed the entire game here. Sandover Dark Rose says, I'm very excited to play Thousand Year Door for another 15 plus times and see Let's Plays on YouTube once the remake comes out. I remember getting the original at a flea market for only $15. Best $15 I've ever spent. Man, 15 bucks for the Thousand Year Door. That is such a steal. And definitely this generation cannot relate to it. Like you go on eBay or whatever right now and it's like 70 or 100 bucks. Like no thank you. It's really cool that we spent so much time like playing this game when we were kids and such, and now we're getting a chance to play it all over again. And I'm just like, yeah, that's really cool. And I'm really glad we can buy the game. It's not going to be like $200 $100, which is how much the GameCube version is right now. Mikola Kaiba says, I first played 1000 Year Door on the GameCube and have fond memories of it. I played through it multiple times, played a randomizer, and have even played a Unity remake of it. Despite my lack of knowledge, I'm loving the way the remake looks. Oh, I did not know that these things existed. Like, I guess I could have guessed that a randomizer existed, but a remake in the Unity engine? I didn't know this existed. I need to take a look at this because this is something that I'm very fascinated by. But yes, I have very fond memories of playing 1000 Year Door as well. And even though I'm like a really big 1000 Year Door fan, I feel like I'm not like the most knowledgeable fan. Like there's still things about the game that I'm discovering today that I didn't know about for like the longest time, despite having played this game my whole childhood. So it's really cool that I'm gonna get another chance to revisit this game and discover even more things that I wasn't aware about when I first played the game. So I'm excited, man. Like it's great. It's great. We're moving on to YouTube comments now, and I just thought that this was sweet. Connor Warren wants to wish me a happy Easter. Happy Easter. Yes, I'm filming this on Easter, so there you go. Get Lucky says, from everything we've seen so far, it looks like the perfect remake. I agree. It honestly looks fantastic. I have no notes. It's kind of like the perfect remake to like please like longtime fans, because they're not really changing like the actual style of it. They're just making it better, and that's just such a difficult thing to do with remakes, I feel like. So I'm really glad to see it. The Good Witch Luz says, I'm super excited, looking forward to Paper Mario and the 1000 Year Door remake. Same here, man. Same. I'm super excited and cannot wait to see what comes of it on May 23rd. Why is it not May 23rd yet? Mr. Game says, never played it, but very interested to play it. I played Super Paper Mario back in the day for the Wii, and that was the only extent of my knowledge. I know that was the first game to divide core fans, but I never knew the level of popularity the prior games were, and loved it for the classic style Mario platformer action it was. Now you see, I'm going to talk about Super Paper Mario eventually, but that was a game that I had very mixed feelings on, because it definitely went away from the traditional like turn-based RPG that I love in favor of like whatever this like fusion between RPG and platformer was. Still a very solid game, and still had a really great story, but it's definitely not as high in my Paper Mario rankings as it is for most people actually. So I don't know, definitely wasn't the game for me at the time. I do enjoy it now, but I definitely did not enjoy it at the time. So I'm just glad to see the 1000 Year Door back. That's all I'll say. Sai says, I'm very interested in it. I've heard about this game for years and how people love it, so it would be nice to get a chance to see if all the hype from over the years was justified in my eyes or not. I'm gonna wait for reviews as well, but besides that, can't wait to see it. That is something I'm kind of concerned about, is like, I feel like everyone is hyping up this game because I think we're just so happy to see that this is a thing, you know? It's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, wow, I cannot believe the 1000 Year Door is actually being treated this way, it's actually getting this treatment. So I think so many of us are just really hyped for its existence, but I'm really hoping that this doesn't mean that like a lot of people that are going to get into the game have really high expectations or are somehow disappointed by it. Like, because it is a very solid game, but try not to get like really gassed up by what everyone is saying, because everyone is definitely speaking from like a place of nostalgia. I certainly am, but definitely like go into the game with blank expectations and form your own opinions on it. But I mean, I think it's solid, so I think everyone's gonna have a good time with it. Whether or not they think it's the best thing in the world is a whole nother thing. And this comment's a little bit let me just read it. Seems overhyped to me. Remakes have never sat well with me because if you played the original, you've played the remake. So you're essentially paying for better textures, music, and stuff. Also, the 1000 Year Door is just generally bad. Shake my head. Well, we can't always be like on the right side of history, so I do wish you luck, but no. Just no. I am kind of like about the fact it's a full price game because it doesn't look like there's a lot being changed from the original, and more so it's just like a higher resolution version of the original. But I mean, I'll pay $60 for it because I'm just so happy that it exists. But I do hope that there's more content in there to justify the $60 price tag, because I think that if it's just like the same game but just higher resolution, I don't know if it deserves to be $60. Like it doesn't. But I mean, it's Nintendo, they know they can get away with it, so it is what it is. But all right, y'all, that's pretty much everything I had. Let me know your thoughts about the 1000 Year Door remake in the comment section below. Are you excited for it? Are you concerned about it? Let me know why not, and let me know you have any ideas for what are the like Paper Mario videos I should make, because yeah, I'm really excited. I'm just gonna keep talking about it until it comes out, and yeah, it's going to be great. All right, paper enthusiasts, this is Riders, riding out.